Hello everyone. I'm very pleased to be here today and to present how we plan to integrate AI into our activities of nutritional epidemiology. And so today I'm presenting on behalf of the RN team and many colleagues who are working together on this project. Some of you are aware that we are coordinating this study, the Nutrinet Santé study, which is a web cohort launched more than 15 years ago, with the primary aim of assessing relations between nutrition and health. And this study is characterized by a very detailed assessment of dietary exposures. This is also a citizen science project because it relies entirely on citizen participation. And so far, there are more than 180,000 participants included in the study. So what is unique in this study is both the detail in data collected and the number of participants. And so far, we've been able to reconcile these two objectives, which are by nature contradictory. So this study builds on a number of innovations, and the first one was to collect dietary data online. So from the start of the study, we use what we call dietary records, so online dietary records, to register what participants eat and drink during the day. So they register their food and drink intakes during 3 non-consecutive days, and this is repeated every 6 months from the inclusion in the study. So they report what they eat, but also how much they eat, when, and in which context. Regarding what they eat, they report, of course, the food and drink items, but also the brand and product names, and whether it is a conventional or organic product. And based on that, we calculate nutritional intakes based on the food composition table of more than 3,000 items, and this table is continuously updated by our dietitian team. So let's take an example. Here I reported that I had breakfast at 7:40 at home, that I had some bread, and especially some baguettes. Then I get asked whether it is an industrial product or a homemade product, or whether it is from the traditional restauration. If it is an industrial product, I have the opportunity to write the brand and the product name. And then I get asked how much of bread I had eaten. And this is repeated for every food and every drink of the day. And overall, reporting 1 day of dietary intake takes something like 20 minutes. A bit later, in 2019, we introduced the possibility for the participant to scan the barcodes of industrial food products within dietary records. So instead of writing the product name, they scan the barcode. And thanks to a collaboration with Open Food Facts, we know the exact composition of these products. And this level of detail in data collected allows us to study different dimensions of diets and their relations with health outcomes. So for example, we lead a research project on ultra-processed foods, on sustainable diets, on front of package labeling, or on dietary circadian rhythms. So now what next? We think it's extremely important for us to address some challenges regarding citizen participation. And there are 3 of them. The first one is to favor long-term participation, which naturally tends to decline over time, especially after years and years of participation. This is very important for us if we want to study changes in dietary patterns over time in the same population. But we also want to recruit new participants, especially those that are currently underrepresented in the cohorts, for example, men, young adults, or those with a lower socioeconomic status. This is, of course, critical if we want to study the issue of social inequalities, or if we want to study some diseases that appear earlier in life. So we want to address these challenges, and we think the top priority is to simplify data collection. Well, it's not only simplifying data collection, it's doing so while maintaining high data quality and detail, which is really the strength of this study, allowing data comparability over time, and ensuring continuity of use for participants. So as I mentioned before, these objectives of high data quality and high participation are inherently contradictory. And this is where AI comes in as a potential solution to simplify data collection without sacrificing data quality or comparability. So there is growing literature in this field, and here is an example of a recent systematic review, which included 13 studies, all of them including between 36 and 136 participants, so quite small sample sizes. And this review concluded that AI-based dietary intake assessment methods, including image recognition, are reliable and valid alternatives for food classification and macronutrient estimation. So, for example, it is valid and reliable to assess carbohydrates, protein, fats, but not for micronutrient estimation, so iron, calcium, vitamins, and so on. So the sample size are limited, and in addition, these studies have not always evaluated these tools under real-life conditions, but rather in a laboratory setting. And real-life conditions present several challenges. So for example, on pictures, there may be multiple food items on a plate with different shapes or textures. There may be overlapping. Images can be obtained from arbitrary camera placements with uneven lighting conditions. So it's much more challenging to automatically detect food items in real-life conditions than in a laboratory setting. Okay. So there are, however, some solutions that appear to be effective. So this is an example of an application called MyFoodRepo, which has been developed in Switzerland, and which had led to very interesting publications. So as you can see on the picture, I'm not sure if you see it very clearly, but this tool, so there is an IA-based segmentation, so it distinguishes one food from the others. And then the food is classified into 273 food categories, and there is also a weight volume estimation. What is extremely important here is that each picture has been manually assessed by expert annotators trained for this task, and the manual corrections consisting in redrawing the segments and correcting class assignments if needed. So it is, of course, a very, very time-consuming task, but improved models are expected to reduce this human annotator task. And interestingly, they have published or they have built a public database of images, which now can be used by the community. So let's go back to the Nutrinet Santé study. What we want to do is to give 3 options for reporting food intake. So for those who will use their laptop, there will be only the manual entry option. And for those using a smartphone, they will have these 3 opportunities, the photo captures, the barcode scan, or the manual entry. So let's imagine that I took this beautiful image of pasta. The first tool it is a visual recognition model, will recognize the food items in this plate. So here there are 4 food items, including pasta. What is difficult in the Nutrinet Santé study is that there is not only one single pasta item in our food composition table, but a dozen or more pasta items. So pasta with eggs, whole grain pasta, pasta with salmon, bolognese, and so on. And it's the same for bread, it's the same for chocolate, for yogurts, and so on. And so there is 2 other tools, a multilingual semantic representation model and a translation model, which will connect the generic item, like pasta, with the right specific item of our food table composition. So we have more than 3,500 food items in the database, and it's a challenge. So this is really work in progress. There are many, many questions that we still need to address to advance in this project. So a few words about our working group. So we are 18 people in the team working on this project. So there are researchers, of course, but also members of the IT team, the dietitian team, the data management, and the operational management team. So we all come with a complementary expertise, and we're working in close collaborations through regular meetings. And so what's important here is that for our colleagues, this project comes in addition to their regular responsibilities to maintain the cohort. So it's a specific challenge. So we want to move forward and have greater engagement in participatory research within this project. So quite simply, participatory research is defined as types of scientific knowledge production in which stakeholders from the civil society, whether as individuals or as groups, participate with researchers in an active and deliberate manner. So we want to include Nutrinet Santé participants in our thinking. The current participants regularly provide feedback to the dietitian and operational team who synthesize this feedback to the whole team. We also organized an interactive workshop with highly compliant participants, and we plan to do the same with less compliant participants, and we'd like to do also a quantitative survey to know more about their expectations. We also want to include young adults in this project, who are extremely reluctant to answer to long questionnaires. So we are working, and it's our colleague Sandrine Penot who is supervising a group of master students in nutrition public health, and they are performing a benchmark of existing solutions, identifying completion issues when they answer to these questionnaires, and they will formulate recommendations. Just to finish, I would like to provide some perspectives. Beyond this integration of AI-based image recognition, we also want to more globally enhance the user experience and adding new features to these dietary records, for example, a list of favorite foods, a more effective text recognition, and a refreshed web interface. And we also want to enhance the participants' sense of belonging to the cohorts, which will need a dedicated participatory research program, which will lead, hopefully, to the creation or the co-creation of the Nutrinet Santé application with many, many new features, such as a chat, newsletters, videos, individual feedback, or some things like that. So for our team, it is an ambitious project, and this will require dedicated funding. So this is what we will do in the next weeks or months to submit proposals to research calls. And it will also require collaborations, so we are open to collaborations, and maybe we can discuss a bit later. So thank you for your attention, and thank you to the whole team working with me in this project.
Yeah, thank you. I have a question. Like, is there any incentive for participants to keep complying with all this stuff? Like, do you provide a yearly assessment of food intake, stuff like that? Like, because if you want to improve like retention rate or like incentivize people like me to answer that, I feel that you need to provide something in return. Like, just contributing to science is not enough. I mean, given the time it seems to take.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So we have quite incredible people in the Nutrinet Santé study who really participate just for the sake of science. So it's like thousands of participants with this profile. But of course, we think we have to provide feedback. But the main question is how to provide feedback without changing the behaviors, because it is an observational study. So you're right, we probably have to provide some kind of feedback, but the level of detail in the feedback, we still have to figure it out.
So I have a question about the amount people will eat. I have two examples. When you are at the canteen, you can have a full plate, take the picture, but eat only half of it. And the reverse, when you are at home, you might want to take a bit more piece of bread. And I find it quite difficult to find the good balance how to deal with these problems.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So at the moment, we think that we will ask the participant to report the quantity eaten. So we are not sure how, do we provide an estimation or not, but they will have to report the exact quantity. And we have methods, with images of food. We know the exact quantity within the plate, and so we will keep using these validated methods to assess quantities.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting talk. As I am Grégoire, the head of France Cohort, I would be very interested to discuss more. But the questions I would have, the task is very difficult. Recording nutrients from the plates and or asking people with questionnaires. You mentioned different, then I would say, mode of collecting data, so like using the smartphone or directly answering some questions, and possibly you will have not a strict comparability of the results depending on the methods or the mode of collection, and possibly also the people who will use one or the other mode will be different. There will be some selection effects depending on the profile, and those selection effects are possibly associated with the profile of the people and with the importance or the way they are eating. If they, I don't know, if you are more interested in the quality of what you eat, maybe we'll prefer and do some more effort on the way you will collect those data. And the last issue I'm seeing is about is the way, the mode of data collection influencing the way you will eat this day. I think I will not declare I'm eating hamburgers today because it's for Nutrinet, you understand? I have to preserve my image in some way. How do you deal with all these issues, which is kind of a nightmare for an epidemiologist at the end?
A nightmare or a dream, depending on the point of view. For the first question, it's a good point, and we will perform validation studies to assess comparability over time between the previous method and the new one, and also comparing the use of a smartphone or photo pictures and so on. It's a really good point, but we don't have the answer now. We don't know how people will respond according to the use of one tool or the other. And the second question, it's actually a well-known limitation of dietary records, is that because we register the dietary intake throughout the day, it can change dietary behaviors, but it's a known limitation. And for example, if you report what you have eaten the previous day, you can have memory issues. So every method has advantages or limits. And this one, well, yes, we know it well.
Thank you.